scrambling for work.
You can just see how many people are throwing themselves at him, the sheer desperation to find a day of work.
Graveyards for children whose deaths aren't even recorded.
We've come to the community graveyard. We've actually counted all of the graves here.
We've been traveling through Afghanistan, speaking to locals living in severe poverty. This is their reality. Hundreds of men, young and old, gather at a local square to find work. This is Kor in central Afghanistan. Some here are just boys. Zaullah Haq is 16. He walked for 2 days from his village to get here. In 6 weeks, Muhammad Gul has found no work. Juma Khan says he can't bear to see his children going hungry. I'm really disturbed. I fear that my children might die, he tells us. We're starving and no one gives me work because I'm old, says Khwaja Ahmed. They're trying to live with dignity, but are being broken by hunger. A man offering work comes by. They jostle, trying to get him to pick them. Because getting that job will determine whether their family eats that day.
So this man on a motorcycle has come to find labourers. You can just see how many people are throwing themselves at him, the sheer desperation to find a day of work. In the past couple of hours, we've seen a couple of cars coming by, lots of men throwing themselves at the car. The reality is that most of these people are going to walk away from here without having found work.
This country is reeling under one of the worst hunger crises in the world, caused by a swirl of factors. International aid cuts, the Taliban government's policies, and natural disasters. Now, 3 in 4 Afghans can't meet basic needs. We've driven into the rural communities nearby. At Abdul Rashid Azimi's home, we're suddenly confronted by the devastating impact. He calls for his daughters. Rukia and Rahila are twins. They're 7. Abdul is eager to explain why he's making unbearable choices. I'm ready to sell my daughters. I'm poor and in debt.
They track every market so you know when to make your move.
No way.
Yes way. Realtor.com tracks.
I'm ready to sell my daughters. I'm poor and in debt. I come home with parched lips, distressed and confused. My children come to me saying, Baba, give us some bread. But what can I give? Where is the work so I can earn? It breaks my heart, but it's the only way to feed my other children, Abdul says. Abdul's young sons already work shining shoes in the market. Culturally, boys are seen as breadwinners, which is now more ingrained because of the Taliban government's restrictions on women and girls. And so, when families think of doing the unimaginable, selling their children, that usually means girls. And there are many such stories. In every home we went to, people told us of being pushed to the brink. 5-year-old Shaika needed surgery for appendicitis. Her father, Saeed Ahmed, had no money, and so he agreed to sell his daughter for 200,000 Afghani, just over $3,000.
If I had money, I would have never taken this decision. But then I got scared. What if she died without the surgery?
When she's 10, Shaika will go to the home of the distant relative who's bought her to marry his son. Underage marriages are widespread in Afghanistan and are becoming even more prevalent now because girls are barred from education.
Giving away your child at such a young age carries a lot of anxiety. Underage marriages have their problems, but I've done it because this way, at least, she will be alive.
These are communities that used to receive food aid until a few years ago. But now, they've been left to fend for themselves with funding drying up. People gather around us, eager to speak. We've had help from no one, not from NGOs, not from the government, Abdul Malik tells us. Next to him, Muhammad Hashim says his 1-year-old baby girl died because she was sick and hungry. He had no food or medicines to give her. When deaths occur in communities like these, they are not recorded anywhere. We've been hearing testimonies from the people about an increased number of children dying in the past couple of years. They attribute those deaths to malnutrition. The only place we can actually see the evidence of that is in the graveyard. So we've come to the community graveyard. We've done this before. We've actually counted all of the graves here. The smaller graves, 130. That's a staggering number, nearly twice as many as those of adults. Evidence, again, of an invisible wave of deaths among Afghan children. This is the morning rush at Kol Provincial Hospital. In the past 4 years, we've been to dozens of medical facilities across this country, and this has now become a familiar sight. Hundreds of sick children being brought in by their parents. 3 years ago, we came to this particular hospital as well, and this time around, already just by looking at it, I can tell you the situation is worse. Hunger makes children vulnerable to disease. The best hospitals in the world would struggle to manage this load. In Afghanistan, it's severely depleted medical facilities like this one, which try every day to provide a feeble lifeline to those at risk. These tiny babies, so young that most have not been named, are the most vulnerable. Underweight, struggling to breathe, because their mothers didn't have enough to eat when they were carrying them. A nurse wheels in twin babies who've just been born. They need urgent help. Their stricken grandmother, Gulbadan, watches on. Both are girls. One weighs a kilo, the other 2. They've been born at 7 months. A nurse immediately puts them on oxygen. They're in a critical condition. 6 hours later, this baby, who weighed 2 kilos, died before she could even be named.
New from Realtor.com. Real View maps now feature precise heat, wind.
Be named. The next day, Gulbadan told us what happened. The baby turned blue and was shaking. The doctors tried to save her, but she died. It was really hard seeing one of my grandchildren die. Now this other one is in such a critical condition. I hope she survives, Gulbadan said. Nurse Fatima Hosseini was one of those who tried to treat the baby.
At the beginning, it was very hard for me to see children dying, but now it's become normal for us. Every day there are 1 or 2, even 3 babies dying here.
The other baby girl's condition had slightly improved, but a few days later, her family was forced to take her out of hospital, which puts her at risk again, because they couldn't afford to buy the medicines needed for her. In this public hospital, they do not have the funds to buy medicines for most of the patients, and it isn't equipped to treat many curable conditions. This baby boy, 14 days old, who hasn't been named yet, has congenital heart disease.
It's a critical condition for the newborns. Unfortunately, his cardiac condition is, we cannot cover it. Maybe it is impossible to be treated in Afghanistan. It must be treated. He needs surgery out of the country, like Pakistan, India, and Iran.
Everywhere we see children who can be saved. Zamir, who's 1.5 months old, has meningitis and pneumonia. But here, there's no way to get a crucial scan, an MRI that's needed for his treatment. His mother weeps helplessly, sitting by her firstborn. And a few days later, Zamir too was taken home because there was no money for his medicines. Tiny lives who will now have to battle to survive all on their own. Yogita Lamai, BBC News, Go.